If you liked comics in the 90s, I bet you were also into Tony Scott movies. The orange skies of Top Gun, the smoky rooms of True Romance. He has a very distinct lighting style. And in these 6 movies, his style is so specific, you could almost interchange scenes and make a super consistent new movie. So I like comics, so let's make a Tony Scott comic. And 80s Chris Claremont run is my favorite, so I'm gonna use these pages as a base for my original page. Yeah, I always loved that romantic tension between Logan and Storm. So, yep, Logan strolling into her loft, lighting up a cigar, and then both of them going to the airport. That'll give me enough variation in the sets to add different types of lighting. Okay, so first let's analyze what that Tony Scott look actually is. The most iconic one is that Top Gun orange, which is almost identical in Days of Thunder and Beverly Hills Cop 2. So I'm just picking some colors from it to create a palette. And I definitely need the dark ones as well, because the orange really pops with some dark silhouettes in front of it. Next is that high contrast light with blues and reds, coming from the neon lights in the club, like in Beverly Hills Cop and The Last Boy Scout, or submarine dashboards like in Top Gun and Crimson Tide. That's the second palette. And another way to create a palette is to use the mosaic filter. I might use that later. Okay, next is those rays of light. So smoky rooms where the smoke can pick up the light. Quick recreation, which makes me realize you can either go parallel or cone shaped with the rays, and quite complicated. So 1, something in front of the light source that creates a ray. 2, something that creates a hard drop shadow. 3, a shape in front that gets an edge light. And 4, the clear outline of the main light source. And that number 3 gets its own category, because it's very typical as well. That outline glow around the character. Okay, one more, which is those windows. The blinders and curtains seem to come back in a lot of movies. Big nice rooms with big windows. And I'm using Photoshop. There's 2 quick ways to color line art. So once I have an ink layer, I copy it and put it underneath the ink layer. Then just use the bucket tool to drop colors. It's the quickest way, but as you can see here, if you don't close every line, you have to go in and close it with another color. Another way is to manually color the patches onto an empty layer underneath the inks. It takes time, but because you have very clean, defined patches, it's very easy to edit them later. So that's what I did in this case. First dropped big patches of high contrast color, and then I used this Uncanny X-Men color palette. Looks pretty style accurate. By the way, I didn't actually write any dialogue for my page. It's just a lorem ipsum Latin cut and paste text that Photoshop automatically drops in as a template. Okay, let's start again and use the Tony Scott colors. Start with the windows. Dropping the shadow is turning out to be tricky, so let's reset and think this through. For some reason I was too proud to go and Google it. So I tried to analyze how light comes through a window and if that has any relation to the perspective of the building. And about an hour later I thought of this, just creating the window pattern and then using the distort tool to drop the light on the ground, delete the excess, and then since one of those windows has the 4 squares, just drop 4 beams connecting the actual window to the dropped light, and that seems to do the trick, because I couldn't really find a more logical explanation for why the light beams split, like this headlight. Why is it not just one? Or from the blinds, it's not really connected to each separate blind. Okay, on the cigar I can play with some Crimson Tide contrasts. Playing with the hue slider gave me this happy little accident. Thanks Bob Ross. Then this panel will get the glow light. Nice. The bottom one needs some more contrast and maybe a bit of light beams as well. Okay, done. Definitely has more mood than that flat version, but it's not ringing the yes bell in my mind yet, so I'm going to make something else. I didn't draw the blinds yet, so let's do that. And using Marilyn Monroe and Claudia Cardinale reference. Okay, who will this be? I need a white outfit because I want to use that Bruce Willis t-shirt color. So yeah, Dazzler started out in a white costume, right? One of those 70s bell-bottom costumes. Okay, I'll give her the 90s hair though. And the blinds are very easy to make with the vector rectangle tool. Just make them without a stroke and then use a mask layer on top to color it. Then blur the whole thing to create that out of focus look from the movies. Yeah, looks very similar. Dropping the shadows is a bit more difficult, but I think this is it. And since last weekend I introduced my son to Twin Peaks, it is a no-brainer as to who will play Dazzler. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, this was fun to mix movies with comics. Perfect for my What If playlist. Check that one out for more fun challenges like these. Drop a like if you enjoyed the trip down memory lane and catch you next time.